The Adelaide Cup boasts a rich history. It was first run in 1864, just 3 years after the inaugural Melbourne Cup, and 15 years before the Cup at Caulfield. And the three races have a strong connection. Hall of Famers and household names from Malua in 1884 to Sub-Zero in 1992 have won at Morphettville, Caulfield and Flemington. Arguably, the best of them all was Rain Lover, who won here in Adelaide as a 3-year-old in 1968 and won the next two Melbourne Cups, becoming the first to go back-to-back in more than 100 years. In 1987, before winning the Caulfield Cup, Lord Reims started his unprecedented winning sequence of 3 Adelaide Cups.
It's Lord Reims clear of Bourbon Boy. This young lady, Marie Linden, is set for racing history. A 2-mile cup is in her grasp. Can he stay, Lord Reims? He'd stay till closing time. Listen to the crowd, they've gone mad.
The honour roll for jockey and trainer is even longer. 25 Hall of Famers, headed by official legends Bart Cummings, Tommy Smith, Colin Hayes and Scobie Breesley. Champion pioneers Marie Linden and Claire Lindop created history, winning here in the Cup at Morphettville.
It's Lindop, the Lady of Adelaide. Claire Lindop, an exalted time, win the Adelaide Cup.
It's today lovers of the sport focus on this test of endurance. A handicap over 3,200 metres is always unpredictable, but one thing is certain: whoever wins this afternoon will hold a special place in racing history.
Watching, I leant back as the horse was crossing the line. He was sort of leaning back and someone next to him was saying, look away, look away. So they're happy to get the win, no doubt. But yeah, the crowd are in, they've scored with the weather. 27 degrees and sunny is almost, for a bloke, the perfect temperature, I reckon.
Well, the favourite for the Cup, Charlie Rose, and at her most recent start, we saw her here in Adelaide at Morphettville win the traditional lead-up race in Adelaide to the Adelaide Cup, the Lord Reims Stakes, and did it very easily, beating some of her rivals today, including probably the second favourite for the Cup, Long Arm.
Yeah, it was dominant, wasn't it? You don't see them at the end of this 2,600 metre trip, where the jocks are looking inside and outside, still on the bridle, and then you think, well, what's she going to find 50 days between runs? Will she be fit enough to put them away? And well, she did. She went straight past them. Farouk, I think, won the Edenhope Cup over the weekend as well, so the form around it's been quite good. Long Arm makes a long looping run and keeps coming, but at this point, Long Arm's under the stick. He's throttled down on Charlie Rose and he's not making up any more ground, so she's going to be incredibly hard to beat. Just want to see her find a good spot early, and I think from 5, Claire Lindop, I reckon, drew the gate for them. Yeah. They would have been very happy with Claire. Absolutely.
So Jason Holder, he had a good book of rides here today. I reckon he would like to have been on the board already. Like rode Garner in the Matrice Stakes, he rode Red Trail in the previous, but he's still chasing that elusive win today.
He might be saving him for the next couple.
That's
nice for you.
Exactly. Rides another award in race 8 as well. Good idea. Last year in the Cup ran really well. Ran second behind King of Leogrance, which in the end was a dominant winner. But you're giving this a good chance for the exotics here again.
I do. It had to work early in this race. Drew a bad gate and had a jump and just did a little bit too much work from gate 12 and just softened it up a touch. So it was never going to beat the winner anyway, who was fantastic. But look at the way it's still working through the line. It's peeling ground off most of the rest. So I think that run was a really good performance. If it gets a cheaper run this year, which it should, from gate 1, I think it can be in the finish. Tommy Stokes said he wasn't sure if it was quite screwed down hard enough, but hopefully they get it right. It's drawn to not need to be that screwed down, I suppose, from 1.
OK, with the late scratching of Sin to win, you have pushed Good Idea into your top 4 selections. Naturally, you got the favourite on top.
Yeah, I think the favourite's going to be really hard to beat. Starcaster will be forward. Been a good day for Jamie. He'll get his chance to roll along. Long Arm has got a lot of talent. We'll settle back and have to make a 3-wide, 4-wide trail into it. But it's got upside. 7 starts it's had, so it's got a future for sure. And Good Idea, as we've touched on, gets a cheap run from the inside gate.
Archie Alexander has 2 runners in the Cup. The first of them, number 2, Mosh Music. And I mentioned on Saturday, James, Mosh Music, her mum Dirt Music, ran in 2 Adelaide Cups.
That's where the staying pedigree comes from, because Moshe, stallion sire of, generally a shorter course horse. But look, she's got a good record, 17 starts. She's won 9 of them. She was playing at the Valley, 225 out to 280, and was never really in the finish in a race won by Starcaster, but was right back on top of things at its next run in the Roy Higgins. Sat back, balanced up and just finished over the top of them. I think from 12 it could be a bit sticky early, but if she can find a spot, she's capable of running home into into the placing somewhere.
OK, let's have a good look at the favourite here, number 4, Charlie Rose for Simon Wild.
Yeah, I'm keen to have a look at her. I'm going to spin around and see exactly what she looks like, because I mentioned there was 50 days between runs last start, and I thought, I wonder how fit she's going to be when she walks in. And she walked in and looked good, and from where I'm standing, she's about 3 feet away from me right now. She looks almost exactly the same as the last time she was here, so I'd say her condition has not gone backwards at all. She had to travel home and come back, but they've done a really good job to have her presented. The form speaks for itself.
Number 5, Parade, is the other runner for Archie Alexander. This horse has been campaigning here, there and everywhere, and campaigning well.
Yeah, it has. Looking at the sort of the Tasmanian form, I think the last horse to come through that and win was maybe Norski, going back a few years. We've seen others that have come over and gone okay, but I'm not sure if it's the A1 form. Its run last start was probably a little bit unlucky. They were playing jockeys a bit too much around the home turn, and Brenton Abdallah was pretty keen to shove Classic Way out of the way, and I reckon it took a length off its finish, and it ended up being beaten a length and a half, but probably needs to find another length 2 to win.
Number 6 is Long Arm, the imported galloper. Overseas, he had 3 starts and won 2 of them. He's now had 4 runs here in Australia.
The least experienced horse in the race, but probably got the second most amount of upside behind the favourite Charlie Rose. So I gave him a good chance last start in the Lord Reims. It was good. We sort of sat back and gave the winner a fair start and wasn't able to make it up, but lost no admirers doing so. He'll get back again from 15. The first 15 or 20 strides from him is not generally quick, so he's going to have to give, I'd say, the entire field a head start.
We'll come back to the 7 shortly, but we go to number 8, Stars of Karam, which these days is with Peter Moody. I guess the worrying fact with him, 1 win from 27 starts.
I know. It was a good one to do it in. Did it in the Vars, I think, back in 2018.
Won the Vars and then ran second in the Derby to Extra Brute.
Yeah, so it's if you're only going to win a race, it's probably a good one to do it in, but looking at its last couple of runs, trying to make a case for how it can turn things around, it's had every possible the last couple of runs, and that 1 win is always at the back of your mind. I think it's just a place so primarily.
Epa Demont, early in her career, her stats were quite damning. 1 win from 21 starts, but she's won 7 of her last 25, and that record now looks pretty good.
She's so consistent too. She doesn't really run bad races, even if she's in a way outclassed. She never really shirks the task. She'll get a cheap run from 2. She ran in this race last year. She was beaten 10.5 lengths. She was a $34 chance, so pretty similar to the price, which is going to be a bit longer today. But I don't think she's hopeless. I think she's a top 6 player if things go away.
10, good idea for Phillip Stokes. So the point that Tommy made, last year coming into the Cup, he'd had 5 lead-up runs. He's only had the 3 lead-up runs this prep.
Yeah, and the last start was probably not the best of them. It was sort of up on speed, and it was just a sort of whacking style finish. But I thought it could just improve, given that it's going to get one of the softest runs in the race, and it was so good in the race last year. And I know last year it obviously had a bit more grounding, but it was coming out of it. It won a benchmark 78. Coming into it last year. At least this year it's coming out of the Roy Higgins, which is probably the Tawny Cup and the Higgins. They're generally the best 2 lead-up races. The
Tassie Galloper, number 11, White Hawk. It ran 3rd in the Launceston Cup last start. It was an $81 chance.
Well, it was a chance in the race prior over there that they all sort of came through and was only fair. But sitting up on speed, it was sort of driven out a bit and it stuck on gamely. It was a big price, but stuck on really well. I'd say this is a harder race, and you mentioned the prices. It very rarely goes around in the market, which is a negative.
And Classic Way for Tony and Calvin McAvoy. You mentioned it had run in the Launceston Cup. It ran in both cups down there, Hobart and Launceston.
Yeah, they generally do the double. Look, I don't think it's an Adelaide Cup horse, to be honest. I think it's quite good enough to do that. It was around the mark down there. It was a good second 2 back. Then last start, as I said, probably didn't have the best run. It was out wide and got annoyed by Parade in the home straight, but I'd say it's only a top 6 chance.
Darvin's won his last 2 in Melbourne, 1 at Sandown, 1 at Moonee Valley, both over 3,000 metres.
Yeah, honest horse, makes its own luck. I think it'll push forward and nearly lead them here. It's just, I guess, at the weight, she's starting to get down these horses that aren't rated that high. Darvin's a 75 rater, and he's not got any weight off some horses that are rated a lot higher than him, but he's racing well and he's fit and he'll go forward. So you can see why they're having a crack.
Paul Prushka won the Cup 2 years ago with Surprise Baby. He's got the next 2. 14, Ripcord.
Was good 2 back at Bendigo. It was a good turn of foot and was dominant. Last start, I wouldn't say it was poor. It was a little bit unlucky. It was sort of half disappointed for a run, but at the same time, I didn't feel like it was going to ping. So this is a harder race. I'm not trying to make a case for it.
And Dean Holland rides his other runner. Of course, Dean Rhodes surprised baby to win the Cup. He's on 15 Vivid Red Sky.
This is a big step up. I think looking through the worth of the races that Vivid Red Sky's won, the top of the tree is a $32,000 benchmark 64 at stall. So it hasn't ever been placed at Metro class, or obviously won at Metro class. So I'd say it's a bridge quite far.
And 17 Table of Wisdom.
I hope it wins, but I hope it wins for Anna and Dennis O'Leary. But
have you got a price alongside of its name?
500 to 1.
500.
Yeah, I don't think it can win, unfortunately, and I think it's probably a query at the distance. Not well weighted, coming off a run on Saturday where the track was against it, but it was only plain. But it'd be a good thrill. Hopefully, it gets past a few and gives them a thrill.
Okay, 7 Starcaster yet to appear in the yard, so still out the back. So we'll wait to have a look at it. But James, we'll just recap your numbers.
I'm 4, 7, 6, 10. The obvious on top, Charlie Rose, with the scratching us in to win. I've got it marked 210. I basically wanted to have it at a price where if it hit the price, I'd want to back it at $1.75. I wouldn't be trying to lay it if I was a bookmaker. I think it's the winner, but I thought sort of 210 was a price you'd want to back it at. So that's where I'm at with it. I've got the 7 in for second, Starcaster, who, if it does appear and takes its place, I think it's going to settle up on the speed and give some cheek. Up at the 6, Long Arm in for 30. He has got the upside, but I don't like his lack of tactical speed in a big handicap where he's going to be seeing 14 horses from the 1,000-metre mark. And then for 4th, I put in the 10, Good Idea, who, if you're playing exotics, and a lot would be, I reckon, with Charlie Rose, standing out for trifectas or whatnot. I think a few would be playing exotics, and I would say don't shy away from throwing Good Idea in for the trifectas and first 4s.
There's the favourite heading off to the gates, Charlie Rose for Jason Holder. I assume you're with the favourite, Brad?
Yeah, nothing too fancy for me here, Terry.